welcome Saiji and welcome all the participants here
Thank you, Mr. Sadi.
to
Nice
this.
to have, so nice of you for the invitation, and it's a
Well,
pleasure
it's a
being with
pleasure.
you.
We do have this open house fairly frequently, and I thought it was
Uh-huh.
an opportunity, to interact with you and to learn from you. You might have noticed even very recently we had some discussions on stroke recovery and the extent of stroke recovery. This is something which I think weighs heavily on pretty much everyone's mind,
True.
the family, the caregivers. So it is always, to my mind, a good idea to be inspired and to learn from people such as yourselves who have had suffered from stroke and have, are making good recoveries, are coming. And I'm sure, interactions always lead to good learnings and good inspirations for all.
True. True.
So thank you very much for taking the time.
Welcome.
Thank you very much for being
Welcome, sir.
here. So let us start with your background. I think prior to stroke, what were you into, Saiji, and what were you doing?
Uh, I'm born and brought up in Bangalore. I live here, so I've been here all my life. I am a research professional, research and marketing professional. I live with my family in Bangalore, and prior to this, it was a very normal life, just like anyone else, any other professional. I was doing the daily work routines, the running arounds, the aspirations, the meeting the targets, and the kind of regular story that you would see. It was something like that. It was a similar story. And then what happened was, one fine day we had this incident. It was something life changing, to me, earth shattering. So many things put together happening at the same time.
But prior
I
to
never
this, if I may
expected this to
ask,
happen.
Saiji,
Yeah,
were you having some, sometimes we talk of risk factors of stroke, like smoking is
true,
a risk
true,
factor, blood pressure is a risk factor, obesity is a risk
true,
factor.
true, true.
Were you having any of these? How would you?
Obe- Obesity, no. Smoking, yes, I was a smoker. Uh, Also, but no alcohol. I and yeah, but tea and caffeine were in acceptable doses on a daily basis. So that's it. But I did have good amount of stress. Some was work related, some was related to family, and there were so many things. Stress, yes, I will agree. And then I had a very disciplined lifestyle, in the sense that everything was kind of balanced. But yeah, I used to overwork a lot, um, and sometimes I had these uh, stress-related issues, like sudden outbursts of emotion, and then I used to sometimes feel that my balance on the blood pressure side was like I was losing balance, and there were instances when I also my physicians warned me that this was slightly on the higher side. You should be controlling it. You should be adapting to these things in your life, in your daily routines. I used to stick to it, and there was nothing so alarming. But just a few days prior to the stroke, that you could say maybe a month or so, I experienced certain strange events, which was like, I used to have this uh, uh, 4 or 5 minutes events of total loss of balance. I used to not be able to stand or sit, or probably without support wouldn't be able to do anything. I used to just be blank for that bit of time, and then slowly things would come back. And then I used to be able to normally walk again, and so on. But this was, happened to me. I could say about 4 or 5 times. I was still in the process of, yeah, I should go and meet the doctor and say what's happening, and then all of a sudden the stroke happened. So this probably was kind of an alert or a warning sign, which I should have attended to. But I don't know if that would have saved me, or we would have averted this disaster.
What about your physical fitness level? I remember you telling me you were into.
Sir, physical fitness, on that side, I am myself an example to so many. Well, Let me tell you, I am 51 years of age, and many people who, not just many people, anyone who meets up for the first time, and they will normally take me to be in my late 30s or so. It's very easy
Absolutely.
to uh, it's very easy to get looks are misguiding sometimes. So and yeah, I used to regularly exercise. I had these. I used to be a sportsman. Uh, Also, at a certain time, I was practicing some form of martial arts like kickboxing and so on. But now, of course, I've lost my rhythm, lost my balance. I have to get back to these things again. But right now, I'm able to at least get to the regular cycle of doing the daily gym and stuff like that. So prior to that, this is how it was. Like said, I had a certain daily routines which were almost rituals to me. I would uh, uh, never used to give on my exercises, on my simple diet, never overate, and I used to have a very busy and active lifestyle.
So, well, in short, essentially, well, and the way that I see it, a fairly disciplined way of living.
You could say yes.
Some stresses, some issues here and there, but yes, a fairly disciplined lifestyle. At
True.
the same time, yes, as you said, there were perhaps some symptoms, maybe as they say, a TIA or transient ischemic attacks, perhaps,
True.
where you lost your balance a couple of times. With you were thinking of going to the doctor to find out what is happening, but before, of course, you could the stroke.
Unfortunately, there was one meeting with a physician which I did have. I reported this issue. I was told that probably my sugar level was falling.
Oh, okay.
So then I was kind of misguided. I never expected this to happen, or probably sugar level at that time was less too. I don't know. Then uh, it continued. Then it was just a matter of few days. Then once all of a sudden I had this event of stroke
Mm,
happening. So there was not much I could have actually done after that. I thought it was maybe a small thing which could recover on its own, or things like that. Never
Even
expected
even
this to
the
happen.
physician meeting did not ring an alarm bell. He didn't say that
And
it was, quite frankly.
no, sir. No, sir. It didn't ring an alarm bell. You're right. And, had it uh, been an alarm of any sort, I would have reacted immediately.
Mm,
I would have reacted differently.
mm. Unfortunately, we have seen that, even in our group, uh, we talk of awareness, but that or the lack of awareness sometimes even extends to the medical fraternity, quite frankly.
True.
Also, I don't really say which way, but perhaps there have been occasions in our group also that people have gone to a physician, the family physician, with these kind of symptoms,
Hmm.
have been told that, okay, do this, do that, get this check done. The probability of stroke has not been specifically, or possibility of a transient attack has not been specifically raised because
True, because even the
that,
affected person doesn't know it is something neuro-related.
mm,
They don't see it that way. At least it's not time for them to look at it that way. They would think it is something physical weakness, or things of that nature. Go to a physician, and the first things that happened is, okay, a routine examination in a totally different angle, and of course this is something they realize when it actually happens.
correct, correct, correct. So, which year did the stroke occur to you? That was in which,
May 16th, 2019.
so May 16, 2019. And you
Yeah,
were working
it's
at the time, or you
two.
were, what was the,
I was well. I work for a. I used to then work for a company which was having clients in the U.S. So normally for me it was a night shift. So like every day, I was just. It was afternoon. I remember that day I was preparing to leave. Uh, I was just about to have my lunch when I realized I was not able to swallow. I called to my wife. I said I was not able to swallow, and it was then that we realized there was something serious happening here. And the first thing we did was we rushed to, since it was the throat, nothing else came to mind. I was thinking then probably this is something related to ENT. Of course, we went to a physician, we went to a doctor, ENT specialist, and then the gentleman started administering uh, attended to by this ENT specialist, and then, of course, he started administering the antibiotics for the throat, and then we lost almost a day when I
I think you have been muted, sir.
oh can you hear me now?
Yes, I can now. Yeah, now it is better. Yeah, we lost you for a minute, and my internet.
Oh, okay. I'm so sorry.
So anyway, let us go back. What were you?
So where was I?
You were talking
So
about.
I was telling you it was a routine day. I was preparing to leave, and it was lunchtime. I was having my food. Then I realized I was not able to swallow. So after that, then immediately since it was I was not able to swallow, then immediately was
Sorry, I have an unstable connection, but I hope this will be more stable now.
no problem, no problem. So I think once again we were paying attention to the ENT procedure, and then what happened was almost a day was lost just trying to understand, uh, being under observation and so on. And it was after almost a day that visiting neurologist in that nursing home where I was admitted suggested this was something that I need to have a deeper examination done with an MRI. Since he was a neurologist, he understood immediately. But they were, you see, those telltale signs: the drooping left cheek, the left eye had almost shut half, and then there were things I could not raise my left hand, and then left side of my body was almost like inactive by then. And after that, of course, the MRI was done. Then it was discovered that I had clots, and then it was a stroke.
So it was almost a day before the start of the events that a conclusion
Yeah,
was arrived.
almost a day before my actual hospitalization at Mahavir Jain Hospital, like I told you earlier, for treatment of stroke. Till then, I was being treated as a general patient with an ENT problem.
Oh, okay. Mhm.
So the my inability to swallow got them thinking about the ENT aspects. While it was dysphagia that had set in, they didn't realize that.
Mm. Okay. And then, of course, you went to to Mahavir Jain Hospital, as you said, and uh, what did they do?
Well,
Procedure.
the first thing that was done was my MRI was done, and that revealed clots in the left side of the hind side of the brain. And of course, the neurologist started their processes immediately. I was in critical care then.
So
Well, with almost 1 day in critical care, I think. Then later I was shifted on to ICU for some time, and then back to the general wards.
so did they perform any surgical procedure at that time? Sometimes people,
They were deliberating on performing a surgical process, but then they ruled out the possibility because they didn't think it was something feasible, and besides, they thought it was a risk going in for surgery. Instead, they could treat it otherwise through medication.
okay, so they administered some clot busters, sometimes TPA or something like that. Sometimes those kind of.
Immediate medication that was done was, I think they did that, and then the first thing that they did was, after that, it was a process to dissolve the clots, to remove the clots. That was started, of course, as they normally do in the process, in a situation where you have clots develop. So I we started that process, and I think I was under observation for 3 days or so, and then sent out. In the meantime, then I had uh, developed this bad temperament, anxiety. I was showing these kind of emotions, sudden outbursts, unstable totally, and it took almost like uh, 2 days for me to be normal and oriented.
So by the time you came out of hospital, what was your state?
I was oriented, I was normal,
Mhm.
and my temperament was more in control. And of course, dysphagia was not something that could be treated in 2 days. They had uh, inserted the Ryle's tube through which I was being fed, and that I think we had for around 40 days or so, 1.5 months, you could say, if I remember well. It was after that, such almost 40 days that I slowly started to regain the swallow function. I was able to swallow food and water. Then that was tube was removed, and I used to, of course, uh, eat through the natural process.
What about mobility? I hope the limbs, was there any deficiency or they were generally?
Yes. The left side was totally affected because of the left side being totally affected. I mean, I was bedridden. I remember more than a month or so. I was like, uh, I never stepped out of my bedroom. I was not able to step out of my bedroom for almost a month. Even going to the washroom was issue. So I had to. Somebody had to shoulder me. Somebody had to carry me, or somebody had to support me to even walk a few steps to go to the washroom. That was the problem. And but then over 2.5 months, I slowly regained my mobility. Uh, I was also able to use my left hand, my left leg normally, a little normally. Of course, I used to walk with a limp. I used to walk with the drag, and there were the other, slow recovery process. Other things recovered, mean associated with slow recovery, where you can see that the person walks with talks with a lisp, walks with a drag, and things of that nature. I had that for almost 3 to 4 months. By then things started changing. It was gradually. It took me almost 6 to 8 months to have a normal walk.
Was there
To
any
have a
physiotherapy also done during that time?
Yes. I had gone through several sessions with the physiotherapist. They had taught me some exercises which I had to do regularly. So, like that was for the throat. That the tongue in, tongue out exercises, which normally they uh, teach you for the throat. That is for dysphagia, and also for balance, the exercises for hands, legs, and for the uh, for the balance issues, and also for speech recovery. Of course, I had a problem with speech too. What you hear me now is almost like 80% of what I used to sound like before the stroke. I never spoke with a lisp. I never had a speech impediment. Now I do. If I speak in continuity for more than, say, a few minutes, like 5 to 10 minutes or so, I have impeded speech. I have to add in a lot of fillers. But of course, somehow I managed to work. For the last 1 year, I've been working, uh, of course, working this way, but still it's gradually improving. But now I've been able to do regular work.
Well,
I work a full
your
shift
speech,
from
I
my
must say,
home.
wonderful. because although you know, of course, best, but one can hardly make out, any impediment over there. Generally speaking, you are.
I'm still 15 to 20% lacking in terms of the full clarity. Of course, you might not be able to make out since you're hearing, but since I know myself, I can
Right.
say that a certain portion of my speech is still impeded.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, what would you say? What role you think your previous disciplined lifestyle helped you in your recovery going forward?
I think I'm one of those lucky ones who had something to start with. I mean, most people I see who are stroke affected, they might take maybe 2 to 3 years to simply even get out of bed and maybe able to stand straight. In my case, I never had to do all that. Of course, I had a very supportive family, my wife and my son. Of course, not so much my son, because my son, of course, he had his education to attend to his schools, his college, his classes. He might not have involved himself so much, but all the time it was my wife supporting me to walk in, walk out, taking me for my checkups, for my examinations, uh, going out of the house or any with any daily routine. Then I realized this was not something that I wanted. This is not something should continue. Of course, initial stages it is okay until you understand that this is the problem and this is how it has to be for the until you gather your wits, you're able to stand on your own feet. A few months it is fine, it's okay, but after that you have to decide whether you are going to put in effort to change it, or you are able to take care of your own physical well-being rather than being dependent or a burden on someone else. And you have to start putting in effort, and that's what I started do. If you look at a cross section of people who are stroke survivors, not everybody will be willing to put in the hard work to recover, to do their exercises, or to what do you say, get back to a normal style of living. Most people are scared, and most people are like, okay, this is, we had a stroke, this is it. it- I mean, they also look at the age. Maybe it is, if it is 50 or 60, they know that they think that maybe it's years for them to recover, and they might not even show interest. I mean, that's one of the psychological things that actually becomes a big impediment in people's recovery and coming back to a normal way of living. I didn't have that disadvantage. It was I had the advantage of uh, a background, a disciplined background, which actually helped me a lot. And then my quick recovery, 2 years and 2 months, sir. Right now, I'm talking to you 2 months and 2 years and 2 months after my stroke, and this is how I sound. This is how I look, and this is how I work. And not everybody on the first meeting are able to understand that this, are able to catch that he's probably suffered a stroke.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think Bharti ji is saying, did you have a cerebellum stroke? What kind of stroke was that? Never
it
with.
it was a posterior circulation stroke. Posterior circulation stroke with neurogenic dysphagia.
I think Arvind ji has raised his hand. Arvind ji, you can.
Yes, I'm unmuted. Speaking of exercises, I would like to know, like you told me that you told us that you had a foot drop. I mean, you had a drag on your foot when you walked. So during a therapist, were you advised to do specific exercises, or did you find out something by yourself? Can you please elaborate on that?
Yeah, the first few months were exercises taught by the physiotherapists. But
Okay.
physiotherapy, in the sense, we had a few sessions. Then I actually duplicated those exercises at home itself. I never had to go to the hospital to meet the physiotherapist for
Specifically for the drag, you mean?
yeah,
I mean,
specifically for these sessions. So
okay.
I started doing those exercises at home. My main major problem was dysphagia. I had to get back the swallow function. So most of the exercises that I did was basically to the tongue in, tongue out, use the tongue sideways, in and out, and these were all exercises for dysphagia. And as for the exercises that I had for the limb movement, that was the general exercises that are taught to any person who has a left side or a right side affected. It was a normal exercise. But what actually was a big help in my case was that, I slowly started my own old exercises which I used to do for my martial arts, and that actually helped me because I used to practice kickboxing earlier. I got into those exercises, and you wouldn't believe me, today uh, it has come to a stage where, on an average day I spend about 75 minutes or 90 minutes workouts on a daily basis. I do my martial art exercises, and that is actually helping me more than my physiotherapy exercises.
So essentially, as I hear it, not being scared, not giving up, and trying to live life as getting back to the so-called norm as quickly as possible, making all-out efforts towards that is how the way that I read it, that you are, uh,
You have two choices. You see, either you can take the natural course, take the natural direction of course, letting time take its habits effect, let nature do its work, and also at the same times let your loved ones uh, be there at your service for the next few years. That is one way of looking at it. Other thing is, either you want to be a master of your own life, live the way you want, do things you want at your own risk, and without anybody's help, then you have to do some extra work to get it, and that depends totally on how determined you are. Do you actually want it or not, is what affects your outcomes.
absolutely, it's determination which is the bedrock, of efforts and consistent practice, perseverance. Absolutely, that is.
True.
I think
I
even
mean, it is not easy. It is daily work. It is hard work. It hurts also. It is painful. At the same time, I'm hitting back at it with revenge, with a sense of revenge that, I need to get back to I need to be my old self, or maybe a better version of myself, better than what I used to be earlier. I mean, that is what is actually helping me keep moving on a daily basis towards a certain goal I've set for myself.
absolutely. So how far, or would you consider yourself now a better version, or still see some way to go, or how would you put it?
I would say, see, there are so many miracles that have happened in the last 2 years. First thing is, no one among my near ones or dear ones, my relatives and friends, would have even thought in their wildest dreams that I would be back on my feet in just a few months. But I proved everyone wrong. I got back. See, I had some natural issues too. I am the only earning member in my family. Should I be bedridden, then what happens to those people who are my dependents? Where do they go? So I had to take a decision that I have been a breadwinner for the family. I will remain a breadwinner for the family. And for me to do that, I had to treat myself first and get back to normal. If I should be able to work, should be able to work normally and live normally. And that's where I started putting in extra effort to actually heal faster. And that has helped.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that,
Okay, if I had someone, maybe a brother supporting me or my father supporting me, if I had an inheritance, maybe I would have taken it slowly. I wouldn't be speaking to you sitting here talking like this today. Maybe I would still be in a process where, my voice would still be 50%. I wouldn't have recovered even 50% of my voice.
yeah, necessity, I think, to that extent, yes, that is also there. That once you know, as you rightly said, that it's all up to you. And frankly, I think any individual who realizes that in any endeavor, that it's ultimately up to the individual, and
Right.
I mean, particularly in matters where, for example, physical exercise is required. I mean, no one can exercise for me. Ultimately, I have to do it myself. I have to do
True.
my therapy myself, and these are the others can facilitate to some extent, but it's all up to me. I think those who realize that in these events, and I've seen that with others also. they in our group also, I mean, we know people who are looking after their, I know Raghu, for example, in our group, he's looking after his 80-year-old mother. He's
Mhm,
suffered a stroke.
mhm,
He's living in a remote village
mhm.
alone, along with his mother. So he looks after his 82 years old mother now, who is suffering from dementia. Plus, he has himself his own, challenges to occur. And yeah, he's doing that. I'm seeing Rekha ji is asking a question. Did you undergo
Yeah, she has a
therapy?
question.
How did you regain
Uh,
speech?
Speech therapy, well, of course, it was initial, the tongue exercises. I had a problem. Now you have to understand this. The dysphagia was first on the radar. We had to work at it first. Speech came second, right? So first I started having those, started doing those exercises for the throat, which was basically those, like I said, those tongue in, tongue out, tongue sideways exercises, and that helped the dysphagia. Once that started recovering, that I started regaining that, speech recovery was comparatively much easier, because I had to talk normally, and that was related to, and the speech issue was also related to the throat. And that's how both actually start picking up pace when we started doing more exercises for the throat. I never did anything special for speech. It was just that I tried to speak normally, and I tried to speak in various pitches normally. And since most of the work that I do revolves around me having to talk on the phone, I practiced speaking normally. And of course, sometimes, I used to, my sentences used to break, my words were incoherent, and there was a lot of impediment. I used to never go beyond a certain, maybe one or two lines at a time. I couldn't speak at length, but of course I worked to be able to read paragraphs in a stretch, and that actually helped me, and that I did for months. So I mean, you are listening to me today. This is also a result of exercises which I have helped to improve my speech.
And as you said, essentially it was more on the left side. So
True.
perhaps the speech centers were not
There's another question.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yes, and Wilsonji has raised his hand. Wilsonji, you can unmute yourself and speak up for a while. Wilsonji, you are there?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me? Huh?
Yes, we
Yeah,
can.
yeah, we can.
Yeah. Well, other than the exercises for dysphagia, what you said, sir, you had been a martial artist and you had more than a physiotherapist. You had done your own exercises. So
Yeah.
we would like to know what are the basic martial art you had been practicing and what are the exercises you are doing.
Well, sir, I can't give you the whole list. I'll tell you a few. See, I'm using weights also.
I,
Oh,
I
I'm
would
not
just
going
add
to.
in that, sir, Wilson,
so
Wilson
you're
is also already doing
I myself am a good this
right.
thing weightlifter
Very
used to be.
Yeah.
So yeah, please you continue, sir.
Uh, See, today I'm able to use weights also. I'm not going to recommend everybody who's listening to this interview start doing those exercises. It is just for to answer your questions. I use 5 kilo dumbbells. Previously, I
Mhm.
used to use 7 kilos, 10 kilos also. Now 5 kilo dumbbells is common. I can handle that. Apart from that, I use spring instruments for my exercises,
Mhm.
and these are basically for biceps, triceps, quadriceps, chest, uh, shoulder exercises, back, upper back, lower back exercises. That is actually helping me a lot. It is much, much more powerful than your normal physiotherapy exercises. I have even started my physiotherapy exercises and getting on with this. I spend almost about 90 minutes every day doing these workouts. So that's the reason why I have a speedier and a faster and a better rate of recovery compared to any other person. If I go and tell this to someone today that, this is the amount of time I spend on my daily exercises, no one would actually believe me. But of course, it's not a question of belief. And that is what is helping me. And that's my
Mhm.
story.
Well, that is very great, sir. But as far as my neuro physician and my physician has told me basically not to touch weights, because my father was a great weightlifter and I myself was a good weightlifter. That means I have got dumbbells up to the weight of 50 kgs from 2.5 kgs. We had a gym itself, but that is a different story. But how does the weight? That is what they are afraid that okay, the blood pressure may shoot up because of the weightlifting. So weightlifting, I'm not clearing, but yes, with this stroke, what has happened? I was asked to reduce my weight, and from 94 kgs, 93 kgs, right now I have reduced my weight up to 84 kgs. Some 2 3 days back, I had used, and I'm doing a lot of jogging. Almost 70 to 90 minutes I'm jogging. That is one
True.
of the great achievement. I'm saying that I've done it. And without physiotherapy, that is also one of the things similar to you. Physiotherapy, because due to Mumbai, the COVID was there, and physiotherapy or many of the doctors used to come very less to the hospitals.
Okay.
And I was doing all with my own. Okay, what exercises I knew. Okay, I did that.
See, what happens is normally your neurologist or your physicians would tell you not to overdo things. They are right. I mean, they have their own, they follow their own procedures. But in my case, once again, I'm telling you, I am not recommending anything to anyone. It is just a personal experience I'm sharing here. I'm not telling this to you as a suggestion that you too copy and do what I have done. It's
Right,
just
right,
that
right.
certain times, sir, I have not. I have done actually what suited my fancy and what I wanted to
Right.
do. Much
Mhm.
going maybe 10 steps beyond what my doctors recommended me to do. So I'm much happier that I had taken that decision of for doing things my way. And of course, here I
Yes.
am sitting before you, talking to you today.
Right, right. That is a great inspiration, because that is what I feel that most of they say that uh, sunna janka or karna manka. That is like I also am the same mentality person.
And
Dunya is okay. The doctor is going to tell okay, don't do, and we are the person we are going to do it
yeah,
purposefully.
also, this is something which you will normally see the moment somebody has a stroke or you have a person affected by stroke in your family. uh, they have a whole list of do's and don'ts established for that person. Like, you know, if you have a stroke, first of all, you're made to believe that you're not normal any longer. You can't live
Yeah.
normally, you can't eat normally, you can't walk normally, you can't sleep normally. Of course, you cannot do anything normally like a normal person at all. When you are,
Right.
yeah, when you it is being put into your mind that
Right.
you're not
Right.
normal. So
Yeah.
how do you actually become
Ah.
normal when you're starting to believe that you're not normal?
Right. So that is it. We try to do little bit opposite what people say. Even same with my family also. They are
Right.
going to say that okay, stop running now. But I go on running. Now after the meeting, I will be starting my jogging like that just in front of my house. There
True.
is a small porch, but I will run.
I do
And
three kilo. I do 3 kilometers every day on my treadmill.
okay,
Besides my exercises, so you can imagine how much time I spend just on my physical activity.
right. That is great. Basically, what I have experienced with the jogging part is that when I'm actually running or jogging on the in front of my house, that is a
Hmm.
small porch,
Hmm.
uh, there is this tiles type of thing
Hmm.
which gives me a resistance which is different than what I do run on the road. That is the difference resistance, and then what I do run or
Right.
jog on the
You're
ground, mud ground.
you're
That is
right.
different.
You're right.
That
You're
the
right.
resistance
Because
part. Yeah,
yeah, more than doing it on
yeah,
what you say, a very
different levels.
level
Treadmills and other
floor
things.
or a
Yeah,
treadmill, doing it
yeah,
in the on a natural, maybe things like a road or a ground, that actually helps you because that is more natural. That is how you have to actually be when you
yeah.
walk normally, when you run normally.
Oh,
But
absolutely.
thing is, most often you would be advised not to do a lot of jogging or running. Instead, you do fast sprinting. You do a fast sprint. and that is
Oh.
more helpful. Fast sprint is more helpful than jogging.
Oh no, because now the thing is that in the month of December, January,
Uh,
I was completely bedridden. And
okay.
it was for me even to walk with the support was a difficult thing. I had to
Uh-huh.
put my hold my right shoulder, and then
Uh-huh.
it was walking was also a challenge for me.
Right,
And
right.
then today, when I am actually doing jogging with a
Uh-huh.
speed of hardly 5.0 kilometers per hour, and that is very slow comparatively.
Slow, very slow.
But,
Yeah.
now just thinking that sprint, that's why it has been suited. The exercise has been suited for you. So, sir, sprinting is definitely. I also want to sprint, but
Right.
sprinting is a little bit. I mean, right up as of now, I
You,
can't think. I can
yeah.
thinking. I'm thinking of since increasing the timing for 2 hours or more.
Don't actually increase the timing, increase the
Yeah,
speed. Keep the timing.
increase speed.
Yeah, just
Okay.
increase the speed. Keep the, of
Huh.
course. How much time would you increase? If you keep on increasing 15 minutes every
Yeah.
few days, I mean, you spend
Huh.
you would end up spending 3 to 4 hours only doing your physical activity. So instead of
Right.
that,
Right.
you increase the speed. It will give you the same effect as it
Huh.
would
Huh.
have given you with the extra time of
Huh.
exercise. That is
Huh.
that is
Huh.
one. That is one.
Huh. Right.
Uh,
While on the
Huh.
subject, of course, as Saiji has also said, um, I see. I think the doctors or the
Huh.
physiotherapists that we speak to or we interact with, they do have an approach which is a perhaps a conservative approach. Because ultimately
True.
you're going to go to them that I have this pain, I have that. So perhaps they are taking that approach. Beyond that, the sketch is an individual. Just as Saiji and you, Wilson, said, is an individual's choice.
It will look like you are breaking rules certain times. I mean, going much a little beyond what your doctor has told you to do. But then it works for you, so you can do it. I
Correct.
mean,
Yeah,
you're not
Yes.
involving someone else here. You're not
absolutely.
involving
Mm-hmm.
someone else,
Right, right, right.
right?
Yeah, that the thing is that what you said is that the willpower which is coming within you, from you, that is more important rather than see exercise and
True.
any other things. What we can do is we can use our own willpower, our own mental power, our own brain or consciousness. It is our brain which is going to say that okay, stop running. Then we have to stop. And there will be other family members who will be prompting, okay, don't do, since I'm doing this in front of my house. So they are always there to say that, okay, bas, enough, enough. So I want to do it. I want to because as I'm tired, I used to do a lot of lifting and all like that also. But there were resistance from the family members itself.
Okay,
And
so
then,
I have a question for you. So when
yes,
you
sir.
go out jogging every day,
Yeah,
how
yeah.
many times, how many people do you meet who regularly tell you to do to do this, do that? They have a list of do's and don'ts for you, right? So
Uh-huh.
you are not. They would recommend you not to run, not to do this, not to lift weights, not to exercise,
Yeah,
not to
yeah,
do
yeah,
it
yeah.
fast, not to do it slow. There are so many. There are so many inputs you get every day. I mean, would you actually be able
Yeah.
to take everybody's input and act accordingly and still make your recovery?
No, it is hardly not possible. That is the reason. Now, since I'm by advocate by profession, so I just don't go to the courts nowadays due to the COVID. Also, the courts are stopped. But most of the time at the house also, just in front of the house, and sometimes when I go on the road and on the ground, nobody knows that I was a person who has suffered stroke. There are people who know me, but nobody knows that I had suffered so much in the gardens or in the ground. So
Right.
there is no one who can actually tell me stop it or do it limited or something like that. Okay, it is normal, not
Right.
an abnormal thing.
I think Arvind has a question
Yes,
about
he has a question there. How any tips on finger
can
holding if you have
can
anything, and
can
then
can you see my fingers, Arvind? Can you see my hand?
Yes, I can.
Okay. See, this is how you have this is what you do in case you want to do exercise for your grip and for your fingers, right?
Mm.
Okay, just watch this. You
Okay.
just watch this. You close your fingers with, you close your fingers very closely to your palm
Uh-huh.
like this, and with a certain amount of grip, so with a certain amount of grip. Now hold it for a few seconds, slowly release, and once again close it like this. Hold it,
Mhm.
slowly release. Once again
Okay.
close, hold it, slowly release. So you continue this. If you do this maybe say 10 times, you can consider that one set. Do 2 sets or 3 sets of this exercises, and within a week or so you can just check your grip and your fingers again. It'll be totally different from the point that you have started.
Okay. Okay.
Right.
But the problem is the finger extension has not started yet for me.
So you don't have a moment yet.
No. Closing is there, but not the opening.
Then if, okay, so I thought okay, I thought you had a problem with the grip. So why don't you try this? Because I tried this. This actually worked for me. This actually helped me get back my grip. This
Okay.
exercises helped me get back my grip and
Mhm.
helped me open close normally. Like, just imagine I had to lift my left hand like this with the support of my right hand. Are you seeing this?
Uh-huh.
Are you seeing this?
Mhm. Yes.
Now,
Yes.
now this is how my
Yes.
left hand works. This is how my left hand works. This
Okay,
is
this
how
is
it
how it
works now.
was initially when right?
Yeah,
It was totally curled
yeah,
up.
yeah, yeah. This is how it was initially, but then after, it took me almost say about one year or maybe a little more than a year to actually get back a normal grip. Not even a normal grip, a little below normal. But now it started recovering. Now it is normal. Today it is
Can you
normal.
not can you not type with the left hand, sir? Can you use the keyboard with the left hand?
I use both my hands. I
You
work
use
normally. I can type. I can type. Okay, I'll tell you all things that I can do normally. I can type. I can do the normal routines, like washing my own plates, or if I have to wash my utensils or some. I am able to do that. I'm able to perfectly use both my hands while bathing, my daily normal ablutions or stuff. Also, I'm able to drive my scooter normally. So there's nothing.
you
I'm
have a special scooter, sir, or is it a two-wheeler that you're driving?
no, it's an ordinary Activa. I have one. My wife has one. She uses
Okay,
hers, and I use mine. So I use my Activa to go out. I mean, if I have some work to do, you have to go out somewhere.
okay, great, great.
I am doing my driving without any help.
Did you
Uh,
have? I'm sorry. Have issues with the?
Issues with? Can you repeat, please? Can you come again?
You are muted, Arvindji.
Yeah, we lost you there.
Yeah, we have lost them.
Vision,
Vision.
eyesight.
Eyesight.
Yeah, yeah.
Eyesight is normal. Eyesight is normal. It is the same as I used to do, because I use these specs. This is not something I'm using after the stroke. I've been using my these specs for years. Uh, I have what do you say, a short sight, where I'm not able to see things beyond a certain length, so beyond a certain distance. I was not able to see small alphabets or small content. That's the reason why I use these classes. So apart from that, there is no special reason why I do.
No, there is. After a stroke, usually patients get something called neglect.
No, I didn't experience such things. No.
Hemianopia. Like one
Yeah,
side of the vision gets cancelled out.
Sometimes there are vision deficits in case the eye has been
I
injured.
didn't have that issue.
That
I
is
didn't have that issue. I
probably
had issue with speech. But if you're listening to me, I am still speaking with some kind of a. You might be able to observe an impediment, right? I'm still stammering a bit when I speak in continuity for a few minutes. Then what happens
No,
is some.
trust me, I didn't notice anything.
I'm
It's pretty good. You have
Good,
improved
good.
really good.
Yeah,
I'm
good.
sometimes I fumble for words, and sometimes I'm like, there's a disconnect between what I want to say and what I say.
Yeah, it cannot be. It can. Yeah, that is one of the main problems, sir. it cannot be recognized when you are speaking
Yeah,
that there is something dysphagia or like that. But when the words are coming, basically you want to say window and you will say something else,
something
or you
else.
want to
True,
say car and you will say something else.
true,
So
true,
that
true,
is happening. That is it is with me also
true,
many a times, and of course psychological conditions also are different.
true,
So
true.
that happened maybe. Yeah.
I'm experiencing that even now. So probably it will take maybe a few
Uh-huh.
more months to for me to have a natural, normal speech like I used to have before. I can say I'm still at maybe 80%, 85% of what I used to have as a normal speech previously.
I just want to focus a little, Said Saab, uh, on your on the business activity.
Hmm.
You're recovering well. How did
Hmm.
you have thought of taking, business is considered a risky endeavor. You could have taken up a job that you were doing earlier, perhaps gone into that, but you decided that okay, I will start a business. What thinking went?
This okay. This is a good question you asked. Let me tell you this. At 51 years of age, if I have to look out for a job now, what do you think my chances are to
That is
land up a, that is one thing, and that is one of the major reasons. And of course, this is not my first try in business. I have tried my hand in business before too, uh, maybe 3 or 4 times. A couple of times I was successful. A couple of times I was not, and but these were actually learning experiences. But now I had to do things on my own because, first of all, my options were few. My options were few. I had to get back to that same level of earning that I had uh, uh, pre stroke period, because I had responsibilities to shoulder. I had my own liabilities. I had my own debts, things like my debts settle and so on. So if I had was looking for a job, what kind of jobs do you think I would get, and how much income I would make? And I would still be years behind in terms of the recovery. I wanted to make monetary recovery. I wanted to make, to be able to settle my debts, to be able to pay off all I owe, to be able to live normally, to have a normal lifestyle like before. I mean, it was not possible for all these things to happen with a job. So naturally, I had to do some things on my own, and I started. And yes, I'm able to. Yeah, I have my own business now. And sometime back, when I was speaking to this gentleman, Aaron. From Stoke TV Foundation. He thought the idea was so great that he actually captioned the interview, Stoke Survivor to CEO.
Mm, correct. I saw that. I saw that interview. But then you are now on your own, as you said. You are in, if I remember correctly, you are into niche market research.
Yes,
This
yes.
is the
My website goes by the name researchleadsinc.com. Anyone who needs information on what I do can just log into my website, and there I have a presence on almost major social media portals. And what I do is something niche. I work with market research firms only, and what I do for them is, I help them market their services. It's as simple. I think there's another big question here.
yeah that Jennifer Regis
Ah,
exercise.
It was just a suggestion to Arvindji.
Right,
okay, okay,
right,
okay.
right, right. So now you see yourself, Said Saab, well settled in this business going forward. You see that growing also, and how is your lifestyle now? Are you still stressed, for example?
With God's grace, I am not stressed. Sometimes stress kicks in, but then I'm able to handle things much better than I used to. Uh, I am more calm and composed than I used to be previously, because now I know this is part of my therapy, and also I have no more no more alternatives. I have to be calm and composed. So I am also making slow progress. Recently, I involved a group to do some SEO for me, and they are doing good job. They have actually put my given some. They are doing a lot of effort trying to get my business some good ratings on Google and uh, SEO benefits, of course. And next year, maybe around April, May or so, I have plans now to set up an office in Bangalore. Right now, a couple of people who are working with me and myself, we are working from our homes. So maybe 6 months down the line, we will have an office to work with, and then we will do in more expansion, bringing in more people. And so I'm thinking of making it a 8 to 10 member team.
That's great. That's great. And, all the best to you. I'm sure with your confidence and your perseverance, you will get.
Thank you, sir. One thing I hate to think about myself, that I ever had a stroke. So I don't think about it that way. Of course, I see it as an very unfortunate event. What's happened has happened. I mean, we still have a life to live. God knows how many years, but whatever it is, I want to live life at my own terms. Simple.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Great, sir. I would
Sure.
like anyone else also to come in, maybe share their thoughts. Certainly really wonderful hearing from Sajiji, and I'm sure this will give a lot of food for thought to many here. But feel free, anyone wants to speak up, anyone wants to add anything, their experiences, how do they see? I know that Jennifer ji is here, I know that Wilson ji is here, some of people I know are doing, moving towards their own goals. So please feel free, what are your thoughts? How do you see yourself maybe 1 to 3 years down the line? Anyone or any questions that you have for Sajiji or for anyone else, feel free. Yes, please.
Hello, sir. Hello.
Hello.
Sir, am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Yes, you are.
Sir, I am Shruti from Bangalore.
Okay.
Sir, I have a question to the group and to you also. If there are symptoms, is it really possible to prevent a stroke when there are symptoms? Like many times there is a transient ischemic attack, or as you said, your symptoms, it is, I have heard that it is common with many people. Loss of balance is there, feeling giddy and all that. Is it possible that it has been detected and a stroke has been prevented?
Is this question for Mr. Sodhi?
Okay, let me just add whatever little I know, Shruti ji.
Sir.
See, a transient ischemic attack is a symbol of an impending, perhaps more serious. Then sometimes, not only sometimes, in fact, usually tests would be done as to why it happened. Mostly the problem perhaps will be traced back to what is known as or thickening of arteries. At least in the case of my mother, it was so. I mean, they did a scan, they did a sound, what they call as a Doppler scan, and they realized that the main arteries supplying blood to the brain was, narrowed with what they call as plaque, PLAQUE. It was, and then there are procedures. For example, carotid stenting is one procedure. Stent, just like in the heart, similar to as in the heart, except that it is in the brain artery, the main cerebellar artery, supplying to the brain. Perhaps they will immediately put the person onto some thinners, as well as making diet modifications, etc. In fact, there is a study which I had some time ago that said something like 75 to 80% of the stroke could have been avoided had there been lifestyle modifications, had there been some pre-indications that it is time to do something really fast about it. And TIA basically is a precursor, perhaps, in some cases, it is telling you, at least that is whatever little that I have got, specifically with reference to my mother, because my mother was advised carotid stenting and all those procedures consequent to a Doppler scan, which detected thickening of the artery. If anyone has anything else to add, please do.
Yeah, sure. I would like to add, Shodhi sir, over here. Am I audible?
Yes,
Yeah,
you are.
yes, you are.
Yeah. So over this, the body definitely it gives you a signal that something is coming up, because this is from my own experience, that I had been doing a walking, and after a certain period of time, there were a numbness into my right hand. That was one of the thing. Other thing is that I don't know that I had a blood pressure. I don't know, my medicine was very less. Amlodipine 2.5%, and sometimes I used to take, sometimes I did not used to take. Okay, that was one thing that I might have missed some of my tablets, and that would anymore. Moreover, there was a sudden tricking of tension with my thing, as there were a lot of issues which I had to face after the passing away of my father. Then the responsibilities came very strong on me. But yes, the body definitely shows some or other signals that the stroke is. I don't know. After that, I wished, and moreover, I had a hemorrhagic stroke. Basically, I fell down on my head, and the thing is that while I was falling down, I was a bit, little bit sporty person, or I would have kept my hand in between, or I would have kept, balanced myself on the hand, not allowing my head to fall down on a very this thing ground, the tile basically over there. And then there was a rupture on the day when I got this thing. I quickly got up, and immediately I was sitting for some time because it was a strong hit. And then after some time I went to the doctor. Then the blood pressure was a little bit normal. Then it started rising and all like that. But yes, other than the fall, when the doctors, after the scan, when it was diagnosed that it was a rupture of some arteries in the brain and clots in the brain, but the body definitely shows the symptoms. And that is what is my personal experience over here with this. Uh, I hope this will be adding to Sodhi sir,
Hmm.
and Shruti madam
There
will
are
be
there are
convinced.
possibilities, there are interventions. At least what we read is that uh, if a TIA is detected, there could be lifestyle changes, etc. Anyone else would like to add anything here, or any other topic that they want to touch upon, maybe discuss here, or specific
Yeah,
out?
sure. After this, I would like to ask Sayed Saab regarding his business, and as he has stated, whether he has got, Sayed sir, this is basically a question for you, and have you basically approached any financial institutions, or how did you raise the finances required for your business?
That's a good question. Again, I started with zero investment.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, and this was something I started from home. Gradually had a couple more people join in. Of course, they are working remotely for me, and this is something in an area in which I was experienced prior to my stroke. I have been in the industry since 91, so it's almost 30 years
Okay.
of experience to back me up. So there is almost so many things from which I can draw my resources without actually having to put in money. So to keep the long story short, I actually started this with zero investment. It was more of planning, more of intelligent investment in the form of experience and form of approaching the right clients for the kind of support that we could provide them. And then I knew people, and they started and they, of course, they worked with me, and that has actually given me a start. Anyone in my place would have found it difficult, but I found it easier because I had my connections, previous connections, and also my experience to back me.
Okay, sir. There is one more another question I would like to ask, is that uh, that means, did your status, that means as a stroke survivor,
Mhm.
helped you somewhere in your business, or for some or the other, since there has been no investment or something? Uh, I know you might have not asked for some favorable or something like that, but somewhere, because after a stroke, a person gets a disability type of certificates. So I will also ask the third question to you, and okay, it is amalgamated. So have you tried to get a disability type of certificate, or is it applicable if it can't be seen, but they might be having the measures?
No, sir. No, did not do anything, any such thing. It was just that I approached, I took a natural route, approached my clients in the most natural way that I would have otherwise approached, spoke to them. The stroke thing is something personal. I can't go out and tell the business community out there that I have this kind of a disability. Most people would, because of some inhibition, not work with me if they realize that I'm not. I had this kind of
Mm.
disadvantage. So when I speak normally to someone and take a project from them to be executed from India, and they give it out, as a natural process of outsourcing to India, I'm able to deliver it. And the story about my stock doesn't anywhere come in between. So it is just normal business that we are carrying on.
Yeah, I got it, sir. Basically, it is like a stigma. What I would like to say for
Yeah, I mean, the more,
people
the
to come,
lesser,
to come.
yeah,
Yeah,
the lesser you talk about it, the better, because you have to treat yourself as a normal person. So consider yourself a normal person, do the normal things. If you think you are a patient, you are a stroke survivor, you had a story, I mean, this is your background, and you talk about it more, you stay that
it will
way
be.
for a
Yeah,
longer time. So
yeah,
you
I
have
agree
to be
with you.
normal. You
Yeah,
just be normal, simple.
yeah, I agree with you very much, sir. But here, I mean, why we as a stroke survivor, we in the sense people are having uh, disability certificates over here, and there is a status of disability which the government has might have provided, which might help us for investment into some or the other businesses, because if business is considered, seems to be an investment coming in force. And moreover, as far as the stroke survivors are concerned, there is a stigma which is coming along with it, that the business community may think that okay, whether this person will be able to deliver or not, that is a very this thing. So I know that in Bombay there is a place called a zoo. Sometimes I may share the video with the this. The people there, they are running a restaurant. Basically, they are not the stroke survivors, but they are with Down syndrome. They are disabled with Down syndrome. So that is basically my
If I may come in,
discussion.
Wilson sir, see, to
Yeah.
me, and I think what Saiji is also saying, see, business is business. At the end of it all, the business wants deliverables at a price point the business can afford. And since I have been there and I am still there, yes, if you can deliver, good. If not, well, there are others. So I think you have to be on your toes and you have to deliver. Talking of this certificate that you are talking about, yes, in some ways, as you know, it does help in getting you, for example, tax benefits, etc. There are certain
Okay.
schemes also which are now perhaps being availed more than the others. And there are certain businesses, like the one that you mentioned, you know, I know, for example, someone who has become a baker. In fact, perhaps I'll bring him in on one of those sessions. He's in Singapore, and
Huh.
after having a stroke, he is now having a quite a good bakery. So
In-
there are people who have adapted themselves to even to the extent of changing their careers, but uh, still doing reasonably well in their let's say new paths. Of course, it depends to everyone's individual circumstances and situations. As for example, for Saiji, fortunately, he could pursue what he was doing earlier. And but as you said, the restaurant that you're talking about, I'm aware of another one in, I think, in Kerala, which is where I think in Kerala or maybe in Bangalore perhaps, where people eat in the dark and they are served by the blind, you know. So there are efforts which are coming up to make people self-sufficient, and to the extent that they can, it's all. I'm sure it must be, it should be encouraged. Like you, Wilson said, I mean, you have, yes, there may be limitations, but within those, there are advantages or there are capabilities that perhaps I'm sure you're still, you know, trying to use up. So that is what I would say. Each one's situations could be different, and I know many. In fact, I'm speaking to someone else who's into the financial services sector, uh, and he on to share trading in a bigger way than he was before. And again, not only is doing share trading for himself, he has developed a business of advising his clients and, you know, on leveraging their capital. So there are possibilities. One can only explore and take it further. I would ask anyone else. I'm seeing that we are sitting at about 8:20,
Oh,
45, 50 minutes. If anyone else would like to add in, maybe come in with their thoughts and comments, or we will close very soon. Ramesh ji, आप कुछ कहना चाहते हैं? और
No, sir.
हाँ जी.
No, sir. Thank you.
Okay, okay. Fine, great. Well, I think then we will close. Or Jennifer, I'm seeing here. Anyone? Anandi ji, anyone, anything that thought that you would like to share?
Sir, I have a question to Syed sir. So
Yes,
please.
Syed
Yes,
sir, you
Jennifer.
said you were able to manage the stress and you are now calm and composed. So I just wanted some tips from you as to how to handle stress, because I feel that most of the times I lose calm and I feel very stressed at work. So I
Okay.
just wanted to get some tips from you.
Okay, I'll try to keep it as short and concise as possible. This is a long story. I was having this attacks of anxiety myself. I used to very easily lose control, have this anxiety attacks, and the attacks would be of this nature that I couldn't stay in a confined place. I would sweat a lot. I just wanted to run out of the house, go out in the open because I can't. I used to be scared of confined spaces. I realized I was also claustrophobic. I had this fear of confined space. Just imagine, I was asked to do an MRI test for the second time after a few months when after I had started my treatment, and then these anxiety attacks actually rose a little bit. So my neurologist wanted to check on the status of recommended me to get a second MRI done. Just imagine, when I was there right in front of the MRI machine, I just didn't want to go in there. Recalled how it is to get inside the MRI machine. It is like, you know, I was, people were just coaxing and cajoling me to get the test done, and I was so scared I couldn't get into the machine. With great difficulty, I managed. I controlled myself for the 20 minutes that I was there inside the machine to get this test done, and that's it. After that, I sat and thought, and I realized that, you know, everything begins with me, ends with me. So I taught myself, spoke to myself, and taught myself that the worst thing that can happen to me is that I would die of some scare. I would actually die of some big problem. I would die of some deficiency. I would die of some problem. But then the only thing that can happen is that, you know, it starts with me, it ends with me. So I don't have to take it beyond me to somebody else to let somebody else know that I'm scared. So I have to learn to manage my own fears, manage my own scares, manage my own temperaments, and so on. And I do it with clenched fists. First few times I managed this, it was difficult. Then later on, it improved a little bit. Then later on, it became a habit. And now I am not scared of the MRI machine. I'm not scared of anxiety attacks. I don't have any anxiety attacks at all. Every day I used to have this clonotryl. Every day I used to eat one clonotryl. It is more than 1 year since I have even touched clonotryl. Do you know what clonotryl is? It is a relaxant. It is given to you to as a stress reliever, so that you do not have this anxiety attacks. You're not anxious. You're able to reduce stress and stay normal. And that is what Conatril does. It is more than 1 year since I have this Conatril. So you have to teach yourself to control, be strong, teach yourself to be strong. And when moments are scary, just hold on to yourself and stand and withstand that for a few more minutes, for a few more seconds. Then you will actually learn to fight that scare. You will actually learn to fight that anxiety. So that's how you train yourself. You don't have any textbook, you don't have any training centers out there, you don't have any kind of training process out there which trains you how to fight your own fears. You have to do that yourself. Does that help you, Jennifer?
Yes, sir. Yes. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
If I can come in with just a small, let's say, personal experiences also, and I think
Sure.
Saiji is also indicating that maybe you could attempt whatever the situations that make you nervous in a low stake environment. I don't, for example, speaking to people. Maybe speaking to people makes you nervous. Okay, you speak to people for a few minutes in a low stake environment, maybe to your friends, maybe to your family, maybe in these kind of sessions, maybe host a session, as they say, face your fears. And once you realize that, you can do that. And that kind of feeds back to you that I did it. So if I did it, I can do it again. I can do it again. I can do it again. And, fine day it goes. Of course, as it also depends on what you are afraid of. And as Saiji said, I think that's a very strong fear that we all have, that we will die. So if I can face that fear, then that I'm going to die, so what? Life goes on.
Sir, can I add a small anecdote here?
Yes, please.
See, all of us have at some time seen on TV or some programs those bullfights that normally Spain is famous for. It happens in Barcelona. Those bullfights where
Right.
one person actually fighting the bull. See, one thing I have learned from those bullfights, I have realized it is not. I used to see that just as anybody else, whether it is in a news or a news clip or a recording or something. All those people who have fought those bulls have learned to take the bull by the horns. That's the only way they actually get into the ring and fight the bull, because they know how to handle it when they are able to take it by the horns. And that is how you tame your fears also, by crashing into it headlong and see what happens. अरे देख लेंगे क्या होगा, या तुम जीतोगे या हम जीतेंगे, ठीक है देख लेंगे. That is how you actually overcome it.
That is, as I said, that is also
That's the spirit.
face your fears. As long as you rightly said, face them head on, and that will also, with time, lead to recoveries and lead to lessening of fears. I'm sure. Fine.
I'm much more happier than I used to be before, because I have trained myself in many different ways, trained myself in a lot of things. I mean, that is what it is. I'm much happier. I thank God for what has happened, because that has actually given me new experiences, new things to learn, new things to
Wonderful.
experience,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
of course, new achievements also.
No, absolutely. Yes. You see, when you look at it that way, I was speaking to someone, I think Christopher was the one I was speaking to. He said it's been amazing. I think he says, I'm here for the fun of it. I mean, that's his motto now. I'm here on this earth for the fun of it. I could not imagine 2, 3, 4 years ago, I would be sitting today, I'll be chatting to you, I'll be having, this conversation with you. And this has happened because of this incident. So that incident also has a positive factor to it. And it is, how we ultimately view it. And then, take our life further from there. So certainly, there are wonderful learnings. Well, thank you very much, Saiji, and everyone. I think we are almost at 8:30. I think it was great being here, chatting with you and chatting with everyone else. Thank you very much for all who could join in.
Thank you very much.
When is the next session, sir?
Thank you very much, Rameshji and Saiji and
Thank you so
When
much.
is the next session?
Nandi. Thank you, and I'm closing this meeting now. Huh? Stay safe.
you.
Thank you
Stay
so
well,
much.
all.
All the best to you,
Welcome.
sir.